Crime and other quality of life issues are so bad in certain big cities right now that Starbucks coffee shops and their employees don't feel safe staying open. Serious. If you watch this show each night, you know some of the issues. Among them, lack of police funding, which leads to lack of officers, crime rates soaring. And now you may see your neighborhood Starbucks close its doors. The coffee giant says they're closing 16 stores where employees reported people using drugs, harassing workers, and committing crimes. By the end of the month, 6 stores in Seattle, 6 in Los Angeles, 2 in Portland, 1 in Philadelphia, 1 in Washington, D.C. will close. Some of the locations in notable areas: a Los Angeles store at the corner of Hollywood Boulevard, a D.C. store at Union Station, and a Philly store at downtown City Center. The company's spokesperson saying, "We're closing stores in some locations that have experienced a high volume of challenging incidents that make it difficult to create a safe and welcoming environment." Starbucks, in a letter written to staff, outlined issues facing employees. They wrote in part, "You're also seeing firsthand the challenges facing our communities: personal safety, racism, lack of access to health care, a growing mental health crisis, rising drug use, and more. With stores in thousands of communities across the country, we know these challenges can at times play out within our stores too. We read every incident report you file. It's a lot. We hear the challenges facing you in stores, etc." We'll get there. Now, this is a relatively woke way of saying it's just gotten too dangerous to stay open. So they have to talk about all these other issues as well. And it's not just these 16 locations closing that have seen violence. In a Starbucks just outside of Cleveland, Ohio, an armed gunman in March entered a Starbucks and robbed the store while holding employees at gunpoint. Now, Starbucks may have brought some of this on themselves. The chain's open-door bathroom policy could be part of the problem. Enacted in 2018, it allows anyone to use its cafes, including its restrooms, whether or not they make a purchase. The policy came a month after a Philadelphia manager called the police about 2 black men who asked to use the bathroom without purchasing anything and then allegedly refused to leave when asked. Just last month, interim CEO Howard Schultz confirmed the company is reviewing that policy. Meanwhile, Starbucks is trying to give store managers tools to help keep stores safe. Store managers will now have leeway to close restrooms, change store layout and limit seating, reduce operations in response to safety concerns. Now, some are questioning Starbucks' motives. Pro-union activists have accused the company of shutting the doors as a way to retaliate against organized labor. Starbucks workers united in Seattle asked on Twitter, "Is this bargaining in good faith?" saying, quote, "We will not let them get away with this." As for the employees at the stores being shut down, they'll be transferred to neighboring locations. Joining me now is someone who has covered this extensively. Heather Haddon, a restaurant reporter for the Wall Street Journal, joins us now. Thanks very much. We appreciate your time. So talk to us about the sorts of things that were happening at these 16 locations. How bad was it?
Well, Starbucks wasn't very specific when they made this announcement, but like you said, they did say they had received specific employee complaints about incidents at these stores. And like you said, in these areas, they said that they've had homelessness, drug use, and crime, and basically made a situation where some of these employees did not feel safe. And moreover, where they couldn't really operate efficiently. I mean, Starbucks does want people to come into their stores and feel welcome and feel like it's a place that they can have a cup of coffee and not feel nervous. So they said that they did try to institute other measures to try to make the stores work, but in the end, it was not in their interest to do so.
Now, you cover restaurants, so I'm just stunned about this bathroom policy, the fact that they insist at all of their stores of letting anyone, whether you buy something or not, sit there, use the bathroom, etc. It seems to me that if you eliminate that policy, you're probably going to have a bit less of a problem, no?
It could be. I mean, this is, like you said, something that they made a policy after those Philadelphia incidents. It was something that was important to them to show that they care and they care about the community, and they do invest a lot in some of these community programs to help with homelessness and other folks who need the assistance. But they have had this policy. in some ways it has made Starbucks a place to go. You can use the bathroom and they hope you're also going to pick up some food or coffee while you're there.
Well,
but there have been incidences as a result of this. I think it is important to also note when the pandemic hit, their stores were closed, as were their bathrooms. So some of this is, the stores are reopened, the pandemic has happened. There's been more issues in cities, like you pointed out, as a result, and so they've had to reevaluate.
Is it unfair that I referred to the note that they sent to staff as kind of a woke explanation? I mean, because they're writing to staff, they have all these security complaints, right? People are feeling unsafe at the stores, and then they claim in an internal note that this is about racism, lack of access to health care, a growing mental health crisis, etc. I mean, what does that have to do with the fact that people aren't feeling safe at the Starbucks?
Well, I can't render opinion on, what they're saying, but all I know is covering the company. I mean, this is something that has been traditionally very important to them. And, they're walking, I think every restaurant and public space right now is walking a tricky line. I mean, they want to be open to the public. I mean, that's part of their job, is to serve the public. But these are challenging times for all the points that you've made. I mean, people are, we have a lot of inflation. People are not feeling very good about themselves right now. And sometimes those spill out in public spaces, and it's tricky for these companies.
Yeah, and look, particularly for a company like Starbucks, which has, I think, sort of tried to position itself as kind of a leading progressive company, that they have to share this kind of view, I guess, internally. But in the end, I don't know. Again, I don't know this. I'm just guessing that wasn't the reason that they ended up closing all these Starbucks, that the reason was because people simply weren't feeling safe at these locations. But we shall see. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.